What is up, good people? Here we are again for episode 45, the Metaverse Nomads podcast. Here we are live every week, every Sunday at this same time. We're spread across the globe, so we're all in different time zones. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are joining us, wherever you are within the cryptoverse. I'm feeling good, man. This is going to be a good show. We got a lot to share with you. We got 4 of the usual suspects, and we even have a guest. We have a guest that'll probably be joining us in a bit, but either way, we've got a lot of good stuff to share with you here. How are you guys doing? How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing all right, man. We're healthy. We're here. We're building in the bear market, as they say.
Yes,
so we're here.
Yes, indeed, man. Good. The memes are freaking hilarious right now. I saw this one. Where it was a bunch of employees at McDonald's, and they were both waving to someone. They said, "Welcome back, Diamond Hands."
There's a good amount of McDonald's tweet memes going around for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. If you're on Twitter and you're not following McDonald's and you're in the space, you definitely should, because they come out they hit us with the memes every time there's a downturn. It's fun.
Oh yeah. How you doing, Bonafide?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good morning, everybody. We're all gonna make it.
Good morning. Fancy Hat, what's happening, man?
Yeah, glad to be back here, seeing all the regular names. Shout out Ra Mega, shout out Winston, and our special guest today, Lumina. Welcome.
Lumina. Can't hear you, man. You muted?
All the way, Turkey.
There you go.
Nice.
There we go.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
He's finally here.
Awesome backgrounds.
Well, it's really nice to hear all of you. It's it's going to be almost night here, so I might need to turn around. But is the sound okay? Can you hear me? You're fine? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, where are you located?
Well, currently I'm in this is a city called Antalya, which is
I know Antalya.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I spent a month in Khmer last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I love Antalya. We have a summer house here, so during the summertime we get back to Turkey, and then I go back to US.
It's a beautiful area. They got that nice beach walk where you can walk on the beach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Looks good, man.
Awesome. So glad to have you on the show, man. We're going to probably get kicked off with a little bit of news around the metaverse. And boy, is there some news. There are some thugs pulling rugs, and we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Then we're going to jump into a little bit of Illuvium. They just had their land sale to talk a bit about how that went off. And I grabbed a couple plots of land, so I'll share some of that. And then we'll dive into some Star Atlas Alpha. So with that, Fancy, I'll let you get us kicked off with some news.
So, this week you may have heard of these things I'm about to talk about. There's another big hack in Bored Ape Yacht Club and other side. So, yeah, it's a constant theme out there. If you see a link that looks a bit dodgy, don't click on it.
Yeah.
Especially not in this game.
Nobody's immune.
One of the team... Yeah, one of I think the team members' Discords were hacked, and then there was a common link that's shared that was just stealing up to 200 Ethereum at the end of it all. There was an official announcement tweet made by Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's just sad that they seem to be the target of a lot of hacks, and in situations like this as of late.
Yeah, it's one of the bad things about being big in this space. People know how much money you have because it's on the chain.
Right.
So another story this week was this guy. He got fished, I believe, for 80 Ethereum. The seller immediately went on and sold it for 30 ETH. And yeah, it's really tragic when this sort of thing happens.
So what did he say? I just clicked a fake goblin claim. Well, like, you did a little bit more than that. You got to read, you got to pay attention to that stuff when you're clicking your wallets, and that wallet opens up. Pay attention to those, understand what the contracts mean, what the language is. It's rough out there.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't going to keep you safe from everything that's out there, but I think a lot of people have to get that muscle memory that you have from when you get an email that you don't trust and you don't click the link because you don't want a virus. It's very similar here. Don't click links from people you don't trust is a cardinal rule in the internet.
And I'll tell you another thing that can kind of save your butt a few times is like, don't try and do everything out of the same wallet. Create different wallets for different projects. That way, if you do end up in a situation, it's not everything that's in jeopardy. It's just whatever is in that particular wallet you're working with at the time.
Yeah, always have a burner wallet. Like just as saying, I posted up in our Cryptoverse 101 channel in our Discord. You can join up at gorome.io if you're interested. And there's a lot of YouTubers who give sound advice just like we do, and it's just general safety tips and tricks. But always cross-reference any link that you're going to click on with someone who you do trust, who you do know in the space. It could be one of us on the council. It could be a fellow citizen in Rome in the Discord, and just ask twice before you just do what you think is right, because the best of us make mistakes, and you can see the big guys on crypto Twitter space, losing lots of money from Fuckverse or Fuck Render. Sorry, a well-known artist in the space who came up and at the time he lost maybe like 40,000 AXS tokens when at the height of when AXS was at 170, I guess, or 150 at the high. So it broke his world, but he built back up as he's skilled in his own way. But yeah, there's countless stories of just double-digit millions just being lost to hackers and just from misclicking. So yeah, you got to watch out.
Yep.
So another story this week was this Anemon project turned out to rug 6.3 million's worth. And when you look at it, it's kind of obvious. It's just a blatant Pokemon rip-off. Yeah, you can immediately tell what type of things they're modeled after. But yeah, it was endorsed by Jake Paul, and anything this guy touches, you don't want to touch.
I love the designs inspired by Pokemon, the whole 9 yards. Me, personally, I'm going to try to get a legendary during the public mint. But y'all better not miss this. Be ready for the mint. It's great to be.
So I want to know, did he get that legendary?
Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah. Got to be careful, man. Watering down your brand. Endorsing too many things. And
this guy especially, he's got a long list of projects under scrutiny: Sacred Devils, Yomi, MILF, and Stick Dicks. So yeah, if he's touched it, stay away. He's 2.2 million on like the last total CoffeeZilla added up, and with this 6.3 million, keeps getting up there. And to no surprise of us all, the Federal Trade Commission reported around 330 million losses in scams in the first quarter of 2020 this year.
What did they say there? Since the start of 2021, more than 46,000 people have reported losses over 1 billion in crypto to scams.
Something light.
Yeah,
not that serious.
And
nothing compared to the federal government.
That's the sort of thing that brings regulators in, though, right? Is they like to come in and start putting cases on people and passing laws, et cetera, to make the space less free because of stuff like that. So that's coming down the pipe.
We're here to protect you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And these are the people that reported the loss. Imagine all the people who just gave up and forgot about it.
Yep.
So speaking of like crypto and laws, Lumina, you're in a country where they've kind of changed their opinion on crypto. You got like a quick, just like what's the status on how does Turkey feel about crypto right now?
Well, that's a good question. It used to be, I mean, the population is actually they are very positive, but the administration wasn't. But apparently, with the inflation and everything, now the tides have changed. And I recently read an article about there's this electric car that Turkey is supposed to produce. It's called TOG, and it's supposed to come out sometime in a year or two. But the cool thing was they actually included an AVAX, an Avalanche digital wallet into the car. And they also, I looked up their website, they're also looking to recruit. They might even sell the car by using cryptos. Things are changing, and it's been a while. Well, the general public, because I remember reading another article created by the ING Bank. Apparently, the Turkish citizens, they are really positive against crypto. They rather have crypto accounts rather than have a fiat currency in their banks. And there's a big population is really positive towards crypto, and it is understandable because the inflation is really bad right now.
Right.
The Turkish lira lost so much against US dollar. Yeah. I mean, here I am. Everything is so cheap. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I mean, at some point I was actually looking and still may even consider Turkey. I've spent a lot of time there, really like it. And I love the idea that right now countries around the world, especially if they're having challenges with their own currency, are looking to become early adopters of crypto. And I think that because of that, they're potentially setting themselves up to see a boom as more adoption of crypto comes on.
Right, I completely agree. I mean, especially the crypto world is really. I mean, I guess at this point consider Turkey as, back in the day I was saying, a second world country. Now because of the inflation, it's almost become a third world country. So for the second and the third world countries, I mean, I think crypto is a really sort of a good payway to fix their economic situation. I mean, if I was the president of Turkey, I would just buy pretty much Bitcoin. And actually, there was a video by Michael Saylor. He was giving suggestions to the Turkish president to buy Bitcoin. So,
make a little hint, nudge. But one of my best friends is Turkish, and I plan on visiting. So I'll let you know, and maybe we could do a whole meetup. But yeah, I see the economy of Turkey turning around on its head for the better with crypto. I don't myself honestly see any other way. Because of where Turkey was at the time, almost becoming that first world status, and then now it's to where it is now. It's sad, but what else is the government going to do if they're the ones who kind of led the horse down this path?
True, and just because of that, a lot of the people who have pretty much jobs, their second job is pretty much trading crypto right now. I mean, every time I come to this country, pretty much every summer, just more of the people I see is just like, normally you would go in a cafe where you see like 20s, 30-year-old age adults, and then even I see like 50, 60 or 70-year-olds are talking about Dogecoin or Ethereum. It's crazy. It is crazy.
It's good to hear, actually.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I mean, I'm all for adaptation in any way. So because I think this is the future of finance, and it is really great to see that finally we are getting rid of the chains that the banks were putting us for all these years, and people are starting to realize it. Yeah, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I like what you said about getting rid of those chains. It was interesting for me to watch how the first countries that went and adopted Bitcoin, the IMF would have something to say about it. They would want to talk to them. They would issue a couple of comments about it. And now as more and more countries adopt, you're not seeing that as much anymore because it's sliding out of control in a way.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to the first country that actually puts like their voting process on chain and their government spending on chain. Those will be exciting times.
That's going to be real interesting. That's going to be the last domino to fall right there.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Fancy?
That was the end of Metaverse news, but yeah, just looking at the comments, it's great to have so many coexist people with us.
Indeed.
I think, especially like since historically Romans and Turkey have like a relationship.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to bring up 2 points of news. I don't have an article for one, but I'll share for the second. It was just that Binance has partnered with the music artist The Weeknd to create the first world tour to integrate Web3 technology. So there's more and more integration just on all spectrums on a holistic scale, and it's good to see. Everything is kind of working in tandem in the same direction. Although we're in a bear market, you'll just see the ebbs and flows of whatever industry is to be next, to be in the limelight. And then secondly,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was
No,
done.
let's finish.
One more.
Well, I was just going to say,
Okay.
I feel like it. I feel like it's easier to see the work in the bear market because the Ponzi's and whatnot, the obvious scams just they're not able to win as easy. And so I think you see that slow down a bit. I mean, there's always going to be Ponzi's and scams going on, but I think it's a lot easier to see the things that have actual value in the bear market, and the people who are building through the bear market are doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it for the reward that's going to come in the next bull run. They're not doing it for the quick buck. So it kind of helps you to see separate the shaft from the reality.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Yeah, and just another note here. Can someone bring me up on screen with my or actually, let me there we go. Thank you. So this caught my eye because this is one of the largest running World of Warcraft guilds for a 17-year track record in creating competitive esports communities, and they're entering the esports scene for NFT crypto gaming, and this is their announced guild name, which is Meta Guild. So yeah, the esports teams and the esports scenes for crypto in general are having a lot of support, and there's a lot of transferring over from traditional gaming, the tri-fi gaming space. So MMG is backed by Griffin Gaming Partners, Galaxy Interactive, 3R Capital, NGC. So a lot of big names you see here, and I can only imagine what's going on behind the scenes and how little we're just getting on the front end or on the back end, however you want to call it, as the consumers of the information. So it's promising, and I just like to see things like this because the bigger the names that are coming to the space, the more you know that this is not just a fad, and this is the type of information that we can share with other people who are, if you just know them as gamers, to be more confident in the space. And yeah. So just wanted
What
to share
Grist
that.
says here is quite important. Traditional gamers coming to the space, which you just mentioned, and yeah, it's really important that they do. If we are actually building a game, we need the gamers. So that leads on to like one of the first questions I want to ask Lumina. What is your gaming history?
Absolutely.
What's the game you ever played, and any other games that really impacted you?
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge gamer. Especially I've been gaming from the very old, the Commodore 64 days, and then the Atari, and then especially Amiga 500 was my all-time favorite. So, and then obviously PC and console and whatnot. But I used to play. I remember playing a Diablo on a 33 6K modems back in the day. It was crazy. But then we started playing MMORPGs with Ultima Online, EverQuest, Star Wars Galaxies, and then obviously World of Warcraft pretty much changed the entire genre of MMORPGs, and pretty much it was the game that put that genre to the mainstream.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I mean, we played Warcraft for so long, and we're still playing it. I mean, Coexist, I started playing World of Warcraft when it was released back in 2004, but Coexist was formed back in 2006. So we are almost like 17, 18 years we've been around. We played so many different type of MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, WildStar, Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, EVE Online, you name it. All of the AAA games that we played throughout the years, and we had fun all the time, and that's one of the reasons why we kind of stick together. But games have a special place in my heart because I'm a computer engineer. I'm actually a professor in Ohio at a state college, and I teach IT classes. I also teach a blockchain course too.
Nice.
But when I did my PhD, I actually did my dissertation on World of Warcraft and using MMORPGs as educational platforms and trying to use them for, learning management systems, bringing fun back to the education. And so especially that game, Warcraft, had a really special place in my heart. Hopefully, Star Atlas will be the next one.
I do have a leading question from that, quite a short one. Horde or Alliance?
Absolutely Horde. All day. Horde or Horde. Loktar Lorad.
Speaking of that, I got a question for you. So when you've seen the movie World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Was that a bizarre experience for you? I know it was for me to actually watch a movie and then see these places within them. It's like places you feel like you've been because, it's, how often do you have that experience in a movie where all of a sudden it's this fantasy world, but you recognize so many of the places? Was that an odd experience for you?
Yeah, personally, there are a lot of mixed reviews about that movie. Personally, I loved it because I read all the books, and when they released the game, because back in the day we were playing Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, and Frozen Throne. It was all RTS. And after watching the movie and playing World of Warcraft, it all made sense to me. And then usually, the adaptations of the books to the games and the movies not that great, but it was almost as close as how I imagined it in my mind. So for that aspect, I really enjoyed it. It was really great to be, immersed. I know, maybe it didn't do great at the box office, but it did great in China, though. So,
personally, I wasn't looking for this great, compelling storyline. I just wanted to see a world that I'd invested so many hours in actually come to life on the big screen.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I completely with you on that one. Yeah.
I think this guy did a good job.
Yeah, he did. But a lot of people loved it. Especially, the people who play World of Warcraft, majority they loved it, but the generic audience pretty much didn't get it. But the people who started playing Warcraft with World of Warcraft probably had an issue too because the storyline was way before then, the actual MMORPG. So, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. I think one of the best, personally, one of the best adaptations.
I think they did a good job of staying in line with like you said, I read the books back in the day too, and they stayed kind of in line with a lot of those stories, so I liked it.
True. Yep, I agree.
So, let's move on to the next question. What first brought you into crypto and Star Atlas?
Well, that's an interesting one because, like I said, I teach IT classes. Shame on me, though. I remember it like crystal clear. Back in the day, back in 2011, I was teaching a course called Information Technology. And on the 11th chapter, there was a topic related to digital currencies. And that was the time I kind of, met with crypto. Around that time, Bitcoin was like $2 or $3, something like that. Wow. And I was teaching the class, and then I remember all the students say, "Hey, sir, what do you think about this thing we should buy?" I'm not going to give you a financial advice. And at that time, I wasn't that smart. I was like, at the end of the course, I was like, no, personally, I wouldn't trust these environments, so you probably shouldn't. I didn't buy it at that time, so shame on me. But the Lumina back in the day, right now, is a totally different mindset. I wish I bought it, but obviously I didn't. But it's kind of, almost like a low blow to myself that I actually taught the subject and I didn't even buy it for $2. So that's how I started. But getting into crypto, I started trading back in 2016, 17-ish. And at that time, I was holding a lot of XRP and ADA. And then roughly around 2019, I started trading NFTs, especially with, I don't know, you heard of Vivi, Ecomi? It's like a digital licensed NFT project. It's out there. They have an app. That's how I started with getting into NFT stuff. And then with the Star Atlas, it's funny because my brother, he showed me this game called Space EX. It almost sounds like SpaceX. Supposed to be like an MMORPG space game, and you're supposed to do like mining and getting different materials. And they said it was going to be a crypto. Yeah, you probably have seen it before. No, I'm not sure. I think it's called Space EX.io. That was the website. And then we played the beta version of the game for a few months, and then we kind of stopped playing it. And roughly around February, before the Star Atlas Posters event, we found about Star Atlas, and we thought first, it's a really cool-looking project. It's on Solana, which around that time, a few months ago, I actually was really bullish with Solana at that time. And that was another reason why I loved the project. It was on Solana and Serum. And me and my brother, we bought the posters. We attended the Rebirth event. We got the very first two ones. And then I was going to buy the third one too. And then the BTC crash happened in May. Thanks to Elon Musk, first said he's going to sell Tesla with BTC, and then not. And then the FUD came from the China, the Bitcoin farmers banned all that jazz. And then we didn't buy the rest of the posters just because of that crash. And then we just loved the idea. I read the entire white paper and economics paper too. Just made sense to me so much. And I honestly did not see any other projects out there that can even come close based on the economics paper and the white paper itself. Yes, I still think that it's a really visionary project. So we kind of got hooked into it. And we already had a guild, Coexist, but we were playing just regular games. So we included the blockchain games to our, sort of a inventory of games. That was the hardest part, to be honest, because a lot of the people in Coexist, they are gamers. And you might know this too. There's this still today, unfortunately, sort of a negative vibe towards the, the NFTs and crypto being in a gaming environment. Somehow gamers don't like it, which it doesn't really make sense to me at all why they are so negative about it. And this is coming from a guy who played MMORPGs for his entire life.
I think a lot of it's just resistance towards what you don't clearly understand.
True. And yeah, absolutely. And so I started to explain it to the actual Coexist members. Some of them got it, some of them didn't. Right now, a lot of our members are still playing World of Warcraft. They just don't want to play anything with crypto. So, but because we started doing trades and stuff, and I met with a lot of the Turkish traders around that time, especially during the pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, we started teaching online, and I was at home 24/7 and teaching from home. And that kind of gave me the opportunity to be sort of, exposed to the Turkish traders and the Turkish crypto gamers too. And then we recruited more people from the crypto world. Some of them were just investors, some of them were gamers, and some of them were both. So that's how it started. And then we started creating content, started doing Twitch streams every week. And we were on Discord every night. Still we are, brainstorming, theory crafting. Every time Star Atlas releases something, we try to come up with, ideas, what can be done, what would be the future might look like, and so on and so forth. So that's how the Star Atlas started for us.
I see you got some Coexist swag there. You got a hat, you got a shirt.
Yeah. There's we actually printed our names in the back.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So these are all handcrafted, and we got some T-shirts, some hoodies,
Nice.
and
What's the
all
other
of
part
them
of the
are.
hat say?
I'm sorry.
What's the other part of the hat say? Right there, where your hand is.
It says Star Atlas.
Oh, Star Atlas. Nice. Got it.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. Well, I actually have 4 or 5 of them created for Michael Wagner and Santi and Chipto. And when I get back to US, I'll send them to them. So hopefully.
We just have to get their home addresses.
Well, I already talked to Santi. Apparently, they have this. What address they said?
You got a PO box?
Yeah, something like that. Like a lawyer's address or something in California. So that's where I'm going to send it, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and this was a nonprofit project. We had an agreement with one of the producers in Turkey, and they just paid the price of the actual production value. So we didn't make any money off of it at all, and that wasn't the intention anyways. I'm a guy who believes in sort of a sense of belonging. I mean, and these type of little things really helps a lot in a guild environment. I mean, there's a reason why we are still alive after 17 years. So, I mean, you always see guilds are breaking apart in a year or two. And some of them just start and they are just done in a few months. So I think these are really important to have that sort of a being belong to a community, being part of something that is sort of a greater than life type of thing, because when you play MMORPGs, you are just when you go to work, you're just a regular guy at a computer shop or at the factory, whatever. But when you are in Azeroth, you are one of the paladins that you do something sort of more than life type of thing, and that helps with the gear and being in Discord and whatnot. Obviously, I'm a guy that believes in that. And I personally, like Star Atlas, we, like the gamers, I really hope that somehow Star Atlas team can start marketing towards the gamers and then grab them. Because I think this game has that potential to be able to create that bridge and that bond the crypto people and then the gamers together with the Unreal Engine 5 and everything and what's going to happen in the future with Star Atlas.
I think the team, on some level, as many teams might already or should have a plan, in my opinion, is always being ready and building towards that bridge of, like what you were saying, for the traditional gamers to automatically just see why they would want to jump in and play, not just because of money. Yeah, fun is fun, but it needs to appeal to them with the base games that they've already been playing. And a conversation on complacency here, where earlier we talked about why don't people who've been playing MMORPGs just jump over. I'm thinking it's more of that, where we all go through it, even now, as futuristic as we are, operating the blockchain and learning all these things and creating guilds and DAX and all these things just for this new age Web3 metaverse stuff that we're doing. We're not even on all networks. I can't speak for everyone, but there's so many people who are just complacent sticking on Ethereum. And if you ask them about anything else, they don't care and they don't want to know, just because of all the crap they hear, but not doing it themselves. Just like with genres of games, like, oh, have you played a first-person shooter? You might like it, but some people know what they want, some people don't. But a lot of people are swayed by their emotion and advertising. So if these games that we're supporting with our funds and time and enjoyment for the future, it's almost everyone's job here, along with the developers, to support that next phase of growth for those traditional gamers.
I absolutely agree, and I think that I think the main reason why they don't like the sort of a monetization of these games, which I personally don't get it, because I remember back in the day we used to go to arcade and we were paying money to play those arcade games, and then we started playing other games, we started paying for these games, and then we started playing games like World of Warcraft where we started paying subscription model. I mean, that game you have to pay $15 a month for the past freaking 20 years. So and now then even with the free to play games, I mean, they sell cosmetics and other things, and even with World of Warcraft, people were illegally buying gold, boosting their characters. So this wasn't something that is new at all. That's why I don't get it.
And that's actually something. I mean, something I actually did, because after I stopped playing World of Warcraft because it was so time consuming for me, that what I would do for a number of years is I would say, you know what, it's the holidays. I'm actually going to go grind a character. But because I only have this window of time during the holidays, let me go out and buy a big pool of gold to get my twink started, you know, in there and build up from there. So I was one of those people that was using the secondary market for resources within. The thing that surprises me most is that why is there not an off-the-shelf game like World of Warcraft or something similar that no one has tried to take something that's already familiar to legacy gamers and put that on chain? Could you imagine World of Warcraft with their marketplace and actually have something on chain, even if they were only structured where you start off, everyone puts in $100 and that's what kickstarts the economy? I'm surprised that no one has been working on that.
Well, 20 years of code, that's a lot of spaghetti.
Yeah, that's a good point, Fancy, that I hadn't even thought of. I was going to go someplace else, but you're 100% right as far as going back and revamping old code. I remember WoW when they were trying to go with the flight. That was a huge deal that took many years by itself, you know, and that was just adding air flight. That's not nearly as complex as interfacing with the real world economy. And I think that's the overall problem is fear, right? Because nobody wants to break what they have, and that's on the side of the developers as well as the gamers. You know, the developers don't want to break their game, and the gamers don't want to see their game broken. And a lot of people out there, you know, who do things for fun and for passion, they feel like if they mix something monetary into it, it's going to break it. You know, that's a common misconception. And so, like you said, even though we've been doing this for years, I mean, I had friends in high school that were, you know, trading accounts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it got even worse when WoW came along. So, you know.
Yeah. To everyone's point, I think it's comical that at any point in the history of games, whether it's like stadium type of big events or just card games like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, did you never sell a Pokemon card game like for another, whether it was for fair value or you try to find exactly if it's equal exchange or you paid someone in cash for the card, you know, whether it was digital or physical. And I think it's amazing to me that look at any part of gaming or competition and there's money involved in some way or some fashion. So now I'm thinking, have we been abused this whole time to just think that we have to be consumers and then like the pain that we had to endure all this time? And then once we see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is like, hey, you can have your hand in the cookie jar too as the purchaser of the game to earn, you don't want it. It's like you reject any help as an abused, addicted, you know, like the one who was in that toxic relationship where it's just like the developers would like to keep all their money, and I would too if I made a game. But there's a nice middle ground that could work, that could take everyone and everything to the next level, and this is what we're involved in here. So yeah.
It's too easy to do skins and loot boxes.
Yeah.
True. And getting back to that World of Warcraft example, and I really hope that there is a. I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
No, yeah. Wow, mega shout out.
Oh yeah, I didn't see. Oh yeah. I think, and I personally think that if there is competition, I think it's a good thing. And I think like these companies, where like, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, Microsoft bought Blizzard Entertainment. I mean, they didn't pay, you know, $6 to $8 billion just for that shizzles. I mean, we know Microsoft is going to build their metaverse to just like Facebook. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Blizzard will at some point will come up with some sort of a crypto game at some point.
Yep. Yeah, and literally, I don't think there's any rush as we're like preparing, I guess, for the next phase of our live stream here. And the same goes for, I guess, the tactic that Rome has taken all this time. I feel like there's phases of these mad dashes to get ahead of what's going on in the space, as we see with NFT sales and the newest project and the newest generative art, whether it's a CCO or common rights where you get to do anything and everything. But before that, it was just, you know, get into mint, get on a whitelist. These larger companies or these guilds in the space that we're all having or a part of, it's just like we don't always have to be the first. We just need to be adaptive, and we're here for the long haul. So whether we have a DAO or not, a token or not, or a white paper or not, or these big companies having a token associated with their company or not, or whatever they're going to be building is going to be something related to the space of everything we're talking about and everything we're doing here. So it's just a matter of time, and they what's the rush for them if they know they're going to be in existence as a traditional company that never jumps over the hurdle to Web3 at all? They'll still be relevant in some shape or form. They trailblaze such an industry themselves, if depending on what it is. So
speaking
that's
of
my
speaking of trailblazing, I was talking to someone the other day that was he asked me what the ship was in my Discord profile. And I was telling him that was Star Atlas, and he says, "Yeah, I kind of checked it out, but I'm gonna wait and see what happens." And I'm like, "Well, tell me a little bit more." And he's like, "Well, I was one of the early supporters of Star Citizen back in 2012. So here's a person, a lot of people that were traditional gamers said, hey, maybe this is a cool thing. They've been waiting on development for 10 years. And, hat tip to Star Citizen, because it's not easy being a pioneer. And
for sure,
on the side of what Star Atlas gets to do, not only do they get to pick up some of the development team, they get to leverage so many things that they have had to learn along the way. Plus, there's new tools now with Unreal Engine 5. So the process is going to happen a lot faster for Star Atlas. But the way things have been released with Score and then, of course, Scream, these are modules that the legacy gamers, they're not going to be a part of that. They're waiting for something that's actual, more of a gameplay experience that is traditional to what they know. And then the blockchain stuff is going to have to be secondary for them before I feel like most of them are going to want to participate.
Yeah, you got a good point there. If you build it, they will come. I mean, right now, most of us who are involved in the space are in it because we're crypto people, not because we're here for the cool games. The cool games haven't really arrived yet. There's decent enough, good enough for now models, but we don't have that AAA experience that people are used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good point. I completely agree.
Yeah, specifically moving to Star Atlas, what thought process goes into making a decent fleet for an individual or a guild?
Well, when we created the guild, we sort of created our fleet. Our intention was to be honest, our only guidance is the white paper and the Economics paper, and we kind of go by with what Star Atlas gave us. But even back in last summer, I remember we were talking about people having to have specific roles, and then when we didn't really give advice, but we were telling all our members that just get ships that just think about what type of role are you going to play in this game, because yes, we are investors, but we are gamers first. So I mean, I'm a guy who I always played as a support. I was a healer throughout all of my MMORPG life. So I know for a fact that either I'm going to get an R8 to repair people, or maybe I can get a Fimbul Packlight to carry stuff, especially R8 probably. But that was one of the main things that we kind of did it. We asked people, what's your gaming background? Try to pick ships that kind of suits to your play style, even though we didn't know what type of play style we were going to get. Our only, to be honest, example was either EVE Online or Star Citizen, which Coexist played Star Citizen 2 back in 2012 and 13. We spent the entire year in a hangar too, so and we spent that much money even though we knew it was not going to come back, but we were really hyped about that project too, because at that time we thought, and it still is, it was a visionary project. And even today, if you go to Star Citizen, it looks great to me. No, I mean, there's not a lot of player base right now, but it took them 10 years and still didn't come out. But that was our thought process when we created our fleet. But obviously, we had investors where, are you going to turn that on? Oh, I don't need that. Thank you. We had investors too, where they just say, hey, we would like to have some sort of a scholarship model in this game. So we don't really care. We're just going to buy, and then, you guys do your own things. But we mainly focused on, we are gamers. So we want people to pick whatever they want, but we want them to be happy playing with those ships, when they're piloting those ships, or even if it's a role, even if you're going to be a farmer or a professor or a pilot that's going to escort our trading routes or whatsoever. So it's just, for us, it was all about the play style. So that's how I hope a lot of our players created their fleets. And as you know, with the the crypto and Bitcoin price and everything, a lot of our players also swapped their ships. Some of them already sold. We are core gamers like me from the very first day have been staking our ships. So there we have that type of population too, including me and the management of Coexist. But like I said, we always said, just think about what type of player you are, what type of a role are you going to be in, and then pick your ships along the same lines. Yeah.
You in talking a bit more about Star Citizen, I remember the first time that I watched one of the videos on YouTube of a person getting into a ship, raising up, leaving the atmosphere, then going through space, finding another planet, a destination, coming back in through the atmosphere, and then landing. I was just like, wow, this is an amazing experience. And if Star Atlas can pull this off on chain, wow, what an amazing metaverse world that will be.
Yep. Completely.
Yeah,
I got the same feeling back in the day.
Yeah, I think similar. I felt the same way when I was playing No Man's Sky. I think that's what it's called. So the history of that is what it is, but that feeling with any space game that people might play in the beginning is everyone can relate on that level. But what I wanted to mention on the topic of the question was that at the end of the day, with these types of games, these space games, it's almost inevitable that you have to decide on what ships you would enjoy playing with if you're only having a certain amount of money to invest, and if you're a part of a guild or as a solo, because you could have big dreams, but you have to start with something that is going to keep you around for the long haul yourself as a gamer. And I like the similarities between Coexist and Rome, where we're gamers first. So we're individual investors with no name to our with no identity outside of just ourselves. But as a group, we're strictly gamers, and we're here for the long haul to play games, right? So you'll be seeing us around for a long while.
Nice.
So yeah, I believe someone in the comments asked a while ago about your tutorial in the Unreal Engine. I'd like to know why you built it, and if we can see it.
And is that using Lyra?
Well, Unreal Engine 5, yes, but we actually built the first game was on Unreal Engine 4, and that the main reason was because at the end of the day, even though we are in the 21st century, there is still a language barrier. You can't really help it. So the Turkish community, yes, a lot of people speak English too, but it is hard for them to grasp and then actually understand the white paper and the economics paper and what the game is all about if there's no language support. So the main intention was to introduce Star Atlas to the Turkish audience in a way that, because I'm a huge believer in games, and games are making fun, they're making education fun. So, if their English proficiency is not good enough, and if they are not, if they don't enjoy reading papers, which personally I do, so we thought that, it might be great to create a small game that you can experience the white paper and what Star Atlas is all about, just playing the game, interacting with NPCs and asking questions to NPCs, what's a wallet, what's a phantom wallet, how do they trade crypto, what is Star Atlas, and what are these ships, and all the things that were on, majority of the things on the white paper, and also on the galactic offering, GOA. I forgot the abbreviation.
Galactic Asset Offering.
Asset Offering, there you go. So that was the main intention, to introduce the Star Atlas to the Turkish community so that they can understand. And I can see that not everybody sees the game the way I see it, because I have a much bigger vision than the game itself. Personally, it is maybe for me, maybe 30% of Star Atlas is a game, but the 70% is something else. It's something else that we can build in it. Like one of our goals was to bring this game to the Turkish audience so they can understand it and that they know what type of investment are they getting into and what type of a quality of a game, a AAA game that they are getting into. Because at that time, all the play-to-earn games, and still today, majority of them are either pixel-based and it's not really fun to play them, and then you can easily see that majority of them are already destined to die, pretty much. So, and then that was the main reason why we started it. But then we showed it to the bigger audience, the global audience, and people loved it. And then we said, hey, if that's the case, we can include some language support. So we added English, and then the Spanish Guild, the Dragon Corp, they loved it too. They helped us with the Spanish translation, so we included the Spanish version. So now, and then there's the Russian, Japanese, and the French language support is coming in too. So, but then we realized, well, this is going to be bigger than what's supposed to be. So we decided, hey, if Star Atlas can do something on Unreal Engine 5, why not we don't do a similar thing in a way on Unreal Engine 5 and then give it to the community. So,
yeah, it's awesome. Spread across multiple languages and multiple factions. Is that right?
Yeah. So what started as a project for the Turkish community turned into a global project where right now what we're going to do is we're going to have Star Atlas guilds represented in this game with their own VIP rooms where they can showcase whatever promotion materials they have, videos, graphics, pictures, whatnot. And then each guild will have their own VIP room. And then when we integrate the multiplayer aspects of it, you'll be able to log in and get your meetings in there. And then hopefully, because I've been trying to tease Santi and Chipto for a few months right now to get at least one of the Star Atlas models, 3D models, in our hands so we can put it into this game and start some sort of a space racing before the actual game comes out. Because I'm a really strong believer of a community, and I always say it, and I said it in multiple town halls in Atlas Group too. Yes, hopefully Star Atlas will be a great project. I think we are lucky to have this type of a project. It's sort of being almost like a pioneer as an example for the upcoming projects. But I also think that Star Atlas team, they are very lucky to have this sort of a very very organic community in their hands. And because so many guilds, like you guys, I'm glad that Coexist came to its place, whatever its place today. But when I saw Rome, I was like, these guys are really cool. If I'm not going to create a guild, probably that guild would be the guild that I would be in. And this is coming from the bottom of my heart, I'm telling you. And I've been following you guys for a while, and you are doing a fantastic job. All of the Metaverse Nomads team, and you're missing I forget his name. He's not being here anymore. At least
Ultra
the last
or
few.
Banjo.
Yeah, Ultra. I don't know what happened to Banjo, but so in this tutorial game, we're gonna have hopefully these multiplayer integration. And then even if Star Atlas doesn't give us a 3D model, we're going to have our own 3D ship models and hopefully get a ship racing amongst the guilds. And in the future, all these guilds will have their security code to get into their VIP rooms and help, hold their meetings and whatnot. Maybe do some sort of a collaborative a project together. Also, Unreal Engine 5 comes in with a built-in PvP game. It's like, right. I think it's a first-person shooter. So we're gonna have to see. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but they're planning to integrate that too.
Lyra.
Lyra.
It looks really cool. What I think would be amazing, based on some of the things that you've shared, and also I think we've got a clip that supports some of the stuff that you've been creating. But what would be a lot of fun is to have that kind of a setup for a capture the flag style tournament between guilds. That would be freaking awesome.
Yep. So our unfortunately we have a one-man dev team. That's it, which is my brother. He's building the entire thing on its own. So
Cool.
There's a lot of pressure on him. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So
Nice.
this is the outer view of the hangar.
Yeah, shout out to you, Lumina, and your brother as well, and everybody who you said helped take part. I mean, to me, that sounds like Web3 in action. And shout out to the Star Atlas devs. I hope they take you up on that opportunity to be a part of that. Sounds amazing.
This
Yeah,
is beautiful.
hopefully.
I like that.
Yeah, this is the high res version. Not sure how well the video will play, but yeah, it's all really, really great stuff. You guys ready for it?
Yeah.
The Rome flag.
Go Rome.
Skull and bones. Right next door. We should be worried.
Nice. What was that? That almost looked like an SR-71 over there in the corner of that ship, but plane.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Could be.
I'll turn the volume down a bit. It's really awesome. Winston is asking, can we pew pew other players in there?
Yes, hopefully. The future. There will be that pew pew.
Very cool. I like it. It's good stuff.
So
Come into
you've
my
been
office.
modeling this all of the pictures we've been getting in all these alpha leaks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is pretty much, yeah. I mean, we didn't release this version of the game, so today is the first day and it's happening on your stream, so.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Premiere. We're so
Yeah,
honored,
absolutely.
and I just want to extend thanks and gratitude for you and all of Coexist and everyone in the space who's just contributing all the while up until now. And it's just it's such a pleasure to have this to our disposal while we're waiting for the ultimate, Star Atlas game to come out.
Yeah, it's a great contribution to the community as a whole.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm being completely honest with you, and seeing guilds like Rome, where they, the guilds that prioritize a gameplay and having fun and understanding, being in a community. That same thing goes for other guilds like Final Frontier, Interstellar Alliance, and I know you guys are not part of UMO, but I strongly suggest you do at some point. But it feels really, and that's why I said multiple times, and I think the Star Atlas community is by far is one of the best community out there. I wish the coin price and everything reflected that, but it didn't. But and like what if, and that's even it's a big if they can even accomplish half of what they said, what they mentioned, especially Michael. Like personally, I have the big vision about Star Atlas, where I'm planning to build a college, a university in Star Atlas, where we're going to offer a different type of courses, and people will have NFTs, and they'll get into these courses, and they will learn from each other. Yes, it seems like it's sort of really far off, but with the integration of cross-chain platforms and being able to just jump from one metaverse to another. If you just think about it, just 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have anything called the social media, and right now people cannot even live their life without using Instagram. So I feel like these type of platforms will be something like that, and these type of guilds like Rome, like Coexist, and others will definitely help to build this community and the metaverse.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like
Well
how
said.
much it looks like the actual showroom from just one of the vantage
Right.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally does. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what else we got, Fancy? Do we want to jump into some Star Atlas Alpha yet? We've got some things that some talking points at the very least. And do we have anything before that?
No, you can take it away. That was great, Lumina. Appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we get into some of this Star Atlas Alpha, I wanted to mention that we have some stuff on the Illuvium land sale. If we don't cover that at the end of the show, depending upon how much content we have on Star Atlas, we will talk a bit about that next week. So one or the other. So with that, I did want to, one of the things that's afforded to us as members of the Discord for Star Atlas, for those that support the server, you have access to the Foundation Room. And one of the things that they don't allow within the Foundation Room is to show video and imagery. But things that are shared otherwise, they can be discussed. And we do have some of that with us here. And we've got some alpha from Chipto himself, who we've had on the show, a friend of the show here. We plan to have him back on as well. And also some things that were mentioned from Bunthius. So with that, it's always good to, I mean, they do such a good job of sharing insights. But one of the things that we've seen as kind of a turning of the tides over the past couple of months is most of the alpha used to come from Bunthius, but Chipto, now that he's been a part of the team, he is clearly kind of leading the way in the strategy of how Scream is going to develop, because he's the one that seems to be on the fly with really having his head wrapped around where they are with things and what it's going to look like. So with that, one of the things that Chipto mentioned is that we will be keeping the actual number of star systems and planets a mystery for the time being. And so this has always been a question for me, because we know the hierarchy from the top down is, of course, you've got the Star Atlas universe as a whole. We don't quite know how big that will be, and eventually it will likely expand over time. But then it goes down to the three factions. It has, of course, the three different zones of safety, from the safe zone to the mid zone to the high risk zone. And then, of course, within the factions, you have regions and planetary systems. So, yeah, we don't know what those numbers are going to be. But as he's mentioned in the past, it's probably going to be smaller to start with, just enough to not really be congested kind of thing. So that's one of the things that was mentioned. We want players to be able to zoom into their ships and fleets and see them in 3D. I love that. And I love the idea that you can kind of play with scale, because it kind of gives you more of a feeling like, you know, when you, I mean, I'll give you an example. You guys remember the video they just released recently where it looks like you're doing a ship flyover, and then all of a sudden you realize that's just a turret. That's one of the turrets on the Guardian. And so, you know, that ship is, I mean, it's obviously a huge ship. It's like 300 meters, but it's pretty cool when you can zoom into that much detail. And of course, anytime and some of these points aren't really worth talking about, but if you have any thoughts on these, any of you guys, absolutely feel free to jump in and share your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have that video loaded up if you want to rewatch it.
Yeah, sure. Let's. So, I mean, when you first see this and you're looking at this, doesn't this look like you're just looking at the top of a ship? I mean, you're like, what ship is this? And as you get a little bit closer to the front here, you're like, okay, can't really tell the ship. We can tell it's parked outside of the showroom. And like, what is this big thing? All right. Still can't tell what ship this is. And then all of a sudden you begin to realize that is just a turret that's sitting on the side of this Calico Guardian.
Wow. Look at that.
Beautiful.
He's a beast. A multi-role, which raises the question, what characteristics in Scream will a multi-role have? Because Scream is where ships are now going to start playing a role in missions and what you can do based on their functionality.
Right.
Yeah, the showroom and all these UE5 clips are really starting to come along, especially for the newest stuff they share.
Yeah. Buntius did mention, I think he's like, yes, the footsteps are just a placeholder. they do have a design team that are sound engineers and effects where they'll tighten that up. I always thought it was funny. Click, 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 click.
All right, totally neglecting the footstep sounds. Don't worry.
I wonder if like the smaller creatures will have lighter footsteps.
Right?
You're gonna have to get small people in to get like two of the sounds. That'd be weird.
The beast of
Looks
a ship.
amazing.
So one of the things mentioned here, I'll make sure I didn't pass anything. Yeah. So star bases are used for crafting. So so essentially, no matter where you are, if you're out doing something away from a star base, you got to go back to a star base for crafting, and players will not use their own refineries. So the things and the buildings and structures that we as poster holders, those of you that are early supporters and have posters and have structures as a result of those posters, those aren't applicable in the version of Scream right out the gate. And also, it's mentioned here that once resources are at a starbase, players will need to choose what they craft. So, yeah, we're just getting little bits of information that kind of start to give us a picture of what the experience of Scream is going to look like. Manufacturing refers to the R4, which is the fueling, food, ammo, and
Toolkits.
repair. And what? Toolkits, for repair. Yep. Mm-hmm. And no components and modules or crew. And ship manufacturing, of course, is not going to be a part of the initial release of Scream. We are designing incentives such that players will feel motivated to move their ships from Score to Scream. And for those that are new to Star Atlas, if you're just watching this, Score and Scream refer to releases of Star Atlas. For example, Score right now is such that we can stake our ships. It's a ship staking mechanism. But also we have to refuel with those 4Rs. We have to feed our crew and all that sort of thing. But as we move to Scream, Score will be phased out over time, and Scream will be the one that they continue to develop upon. And so there's going to be incentives to get people to move from staking their ships to actually being involved in the process of gameplay within Scream.
Yeah, and Score is the current process we have right now. Scream refers to ship, combat, resource extraction, and manufacturing.
Yep. And for those of you that haven't played Stellaris, I think it's a great game. And it may be something like if you have some time, you want to jump into a game and you want to play something that is essentially, as Chip2 would say, the inspiration for the model that is Scream that'll be coming out, then Stellaris is that source. So that if you want to kind of brush up and kind of get a feel for what inspired Scream that's going to be coming out, Stellaris would be the game to be checking out. He also mentions
Here's just a quick image that I found. Really awesome. Does remind me of the map that they shared recently.
Right.
Yep. I have a funny story about that. When I think it was in the beginning of May or something, that Chip, after the town hall, he did say that their biggest inspiration was Stellaris, and they actually mentioned it back in November too, but they didn't really make a big deal out of it. But then back in May, he actually said it on Twitter Space, and then I told this to the guild members, and then I told them, hey, you know what? If you guys want to play something right now, you're better off playing Stellaris. And I remember that week, somehow the purchases on Stellaris on Steam went just crazy. I would assume the entire Quakes is pretty much both Stellaris game. So you can also tell, one project affects another project vastly. So it's crazy. So we've been playing Stellaris for a while, just to get used to it and get other players being familiar with the
fun game
interface.
Too.
Yeah, it is.
He goes on to say here that terraforming is the mechanic that they're going to introduce in Scream. However, they have theory crafted a lot internally on how it may be implemented. It would likely heavily lean on collective player action and even localized DAO DAC initiatives to influence the direction of a planet and star system. which also raises the question. I mean, for us as guilds, one of the big things that will dictate how we engage the game is, of course, going to be the way that we get to utilize the DAC or DAO within the game system. So, for example, a lot of us as guilds, we have players that have a bunch of assets, and in some cases more assets than we as individuals could use. And of course, we want our guild members that have less assets or may not have many, but have the willingness and desire to participate in the game to be able to take part. And so hopefully that will be built into the DAC so that we have some way to be able to say, hey, we have these resources, but we want our other guildies to be able to be on this ship or utilize this this mining rig. And so I'm really curious to see as they begin to share more about what the DAC is going to look like, because that's going to be a key ingredient for how guilds are able to collectively take part.
Yeah, it's going to be the combat that's really interesting to me when assets start getting taken off the board, especially building them.
Absolutely. So what else we got here? We've got, in the full vision of our combat system, we will have damage efficiencies against shields, armor, hulls, and power, depending upon the damage types slotted in the weapons, HP, and missile bays. Scream combat is more simplified since it is reduced scope to meet our delivery timeline, which makes a lot of sense. They're already going to be pumping in a lot of detail just by the fact that each ship type is going to have factors that are based on that ship itself and the role that it plays within Scream. So that is already a lot to take on. So I would imagine that, yes, those other things would be a part of a later initiative. All ship stats in Scream are unique to each ship. There you go, right there. And are a function of the ship's loadout, form factor, role, and manufacturer, which raises the question, because we know that the ships that we purchased are coming with a full loadout. Things like, Calico Guardian, which is, my favorite ship. As a multi-role ship, it has hydroponics. So does that mean that you're going to have reduced need for food? And also, is it possible that there's a way to make it so that the ship produces a surplus of that of food, so that, again, because now with Scream, it's going to start to shift to a player-based economy where the 4Rs are being created by the players instead of being provided at an infinite level by the system itself. So it'll be interesting to see how these play out. And I'm curious for you, Lumina, you mentioned that your role in World of Warcraft, you liked playing the role of a healer. Had you looked at any of the support vessels? You mentioned R8 for repair and refuel and that sort of thing, but have you looked at the med techs and and rescue and anything like that? Does that appeal to you at all, or you pretty much looking to more the R8?
Well, actually, they do, and I still didn't make up my mind about because Calico Evac the same thing, the medtech, and then here's the thing though, because we have been staking our ships from the very first day. I don't know. I think Viticus, you mentioned the same thing too, with the because we spent a lot of we made a lot of investment in Star Atlas, and I mean not that crazy investment, but we're at the point where, because the ship values are almost 50%, some of them are down 50%, more than that. I'm looking into different options at this point. Definitely, I know for a fact that when the very first ship that I got, because you said Calico Garden is your favorite. My favorite is actually Business Opera, because I really loved Opera, and even though, yes, I would like to be a support, but I think in Star Atlas, you can play a support as a repair, a mechanic, or I think you can also play as a support as a guy who will bring, intel, get those scanners out, check out the star system, the galaxies and the planets, and see if there's an enemy or, natural resources and whatnot, and, being able to trade that intel and help the guild by using that. I think that I also consider it as a support role. Maybe it can be sort of almost like a rogue type character in World of Warcraft, but still you are kind of sharing the information. So it is I feel like it is a supportive role. So I'm leaning towards more to ships like RA and especially Visa Support, because that's by far my favorite ship of all. I mean, having said that, when I saw the Busan the Maiden, that ship looks gorgeous. I mean
that's a nice ship for sure. But what's interesting, yes, the Calico Guardian is my favorite, but the thing about the OPOD is that I think that it is the uncontested pound for pound best ship in the fleet. If you were only going to have one and you weren't trying to spend if you're trying to find something that's priced somewhere in there, not on the high end, not the smallest ship, the OPOD, man, I think that's the best you can get. That is an amazing ship. Not only that, I think it's a favorite within even the dev team, because it is, I think there's only going to be 2 ships, as we'll see here later. There's going to be 2 ships that make it to the showroom for October. And I think it's without a doubt, this is going to be one of them.
Right.
It's a beautiful ship. It's got the scanning and sensor capability. It's got the right size. When we think of like TV shows, whether it's Firefly, whether it's, whether it's the Millennium Falcon, it falls into that size category of like a ship you could just get in and explore. And so, yeah, I think it's the best pound for pound ship out of all of them.
Yeah, when I saw the screenshots of this ship, because we were at that time doing a lot of theory crafting, and because we saw the Uster on it, and then back in the day we didn't know what type of factions. We knew that we were going to be ONI, but we were theory crafting so much to a level where we thought, if you are an ONI and if it's an ONI ship, you're going to get a special bonus or whatnot because you're piloting the ship that's coming from your roots and genealogy, whatever. So I have ONI, but my favorite ship is open.
Might have been, but I heard the same thing too. So
okay, all right. Maybe we were both high.
We all took a hit from the same.
Right. Yeah.
We passed the same bong around, but it was there was that we heard a couple things. So that the race gave you a bonus if you had a ship that was associated with the race. We also heard that the amount of time that your crew was on the same ship together gave a bonus, and then also if they went to the same academy. That's actually within the white paper itself. So there's a couple of those things floating around. At what stage of development and what version of Scream or what version of gameplay will actually see those things be a part of the influence? Hard to say, but yeah, I recall some of what you were saying there as well.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've got, there will be no module swapping in Scream since ship config is a massive scope. Yeah, it absolutely is. Though we intend to build that next. To answer your question, someone was assuming that ship config is live. It depends on the ship's role. Different roles can host modules that can be swapped. Since ammo and cargo are more on the generic side, it is very likely that you can swap those two, assuming they're the same size. And so this question leans towards, we know that ships have components and they have modules. And then the idea is that, can you retrofit? Do you have to go back to Starbase? Is there a time limit? And of course, while this stuff isn't necessarily going to be in version 1, the initial version 0 of Scream, it is still a good question to be able to wonder, like, if you have all of these modules, if you have a ship that, say, it's got 3 modules and 2 components, can you say, I want to retrofit my ship for this particular mission? Let's say you're going out to a place where your guild found out that there's this amazing resource. Well, you might want to retrofit your ship for stealth and a lot of cargo bay space, something like that. So at some point I can see that being a thing, but it makes sense that in this initial phase of Scream, it most likely is not going to be a part of it.
Yeah, I reckon that the multi-role ships would be the ones most likely to have them swaps available. That kind of seems their niche.
Yeah. That's a good point. Ammo and fuel isn't that generic. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know that those are ones you want to swap out. Either you'd be calling a tow truck. Man, we got all the ammo, but we're stuck out here.
I don't know what the problem is.
What's going on?
I don't get it.
Let's see here. While combat is a large focus, all support class ships have an instrumental role in upkeeping active star bases and planets. Support ships are more efficient at those jobs than fighters, which will be reflected in their LP earnings for that assignment. Also, freighters move cargo more efficiently, which would make sense. Freighting resources will be necessary to support your R4 needs and getting crafted resources to their desired location, which is curious because we do know that crafting is going to take place on a starbase. So if crafting takes place on a starbase, where are you trying to get the resources to? You know, that's the question. I don't know where you're trying to get those things off to. Any thoughts on that?
We're gonna have the what's it called again? Not Armstrong. Which was the miner ship?
The Armstrong was the manufacturer. Yeah.
Right. So if we go out and mine those resources, we should be able to carry them to the space station and then craft them there, I guess.
Right.
So.
Yeah, to our respective guilds and whatever our goals are with those materials to build out, whether ships or.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So it's not getting the resources that have been crafted anywhere. It's getting the mining resources to the starbase so that you can craft them. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my understanding.
Yeah.
Or upgrade the starbase itself.
Right.
Create more hangars.
Yep. And this is a question someone had that would, will we be able to refuel our ships on the go with the R8, R6, and Scream initial release? To which Chipto responded, every ship can do that, assuming that you have the toolkits and spare fuel, but a refuel repair ships have special perks when doing that. So yeah, it's sounding more and more like they really are trying to stack up Scream so that it really benefits a guild. And that's another thing too. It's a lot of these things sound like they're leaning towards like collaboration is going to be a big part of really making things work within even the early releases of Scream. But the more rounded your fleet, the better off it seems like you'll be as far as perks and being able to navigate some of the missions and things more smoothly. I assume one would have to go back to a starbase to refuel and repair. It's like if you have toolkits on board, you can self-repair any ship on the go. Yes, that's currently how it works. However, bringing extra fuel and toolkits takes up precious cargo space, which that's great. I like that that's a consideration. Because you can imagine that situation where you're out in deep space and it's like, man, we planned for this long trip. And so we've got this cargo bay full of stuff to support us on our trip, but we just found this amazing resource. What do we jettison all of these supplies that we have to be able to get this resource? So you actually have to think about your cargo space. So,
well, I can already hear the min-maxers in the community trying to figure out the exact math on how much fuel and toolkits they need to get to a particular destination. So by the time they get there, they'll be empty and ready to load up.
Yeah.
Yep. I also wonder what the process is going to be. Like, what if you miscalculate? Are you calling on a tow truck? Someone asked, any clues to drop on how fleet battles decided in Scream? Is it combined military score plus random number generator or something else? To which Chipto replied, very astute prediction. We'd like to wait on opening up the combat discussion, but we're heavily focused on refining it at the moment. So if that's an astute prediction, then yeah, it sounds like it will be a combination, or at least those will be factors that you are as a fleet. You know, for example, like right now, we do know, or we've heard that there is going to be a snapshot for your ships that are currently staked in score. And then once that snapshot has been taken, at that point is when you'll want to consider unstaking your ships. Because if you do it before, then you may not, like, for example, I think it's already been like 160 some odd days since the score started. And we've got ships. I've got ships that are in veteran status. And I don't want to lose that status because that status is obviously going to provide perks. And so maybe that's what they're talking about, or that lends towards your combined military score, perhaps. So yeah, a couple of factors there. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Fuel and ammo modules will boost your capacity to hold the R4s respectively. So that's cool. That, and of course, on a ship, like one of the things I noticed when I'm in the process of the R4 for the Calico Guardian, man, that thing holds a boatload of ammo. And it's nice that you don't have to do the maintenance all the time, but when maintenance comes due, you're like, that's a lot of ammo. Rescue ships also receive some love on the role-specific perk front. So that's cool. If you actively play, so this is interesting here. So if you actively play all day, you're going to earn more LP. So what is LP? What is that an acronym for? It's something points, I'm assuming, right? Or is it?
Isn't that loyalty points?
Loyalty points. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
And so loyalty points in Atlas. So you're going to earn more LP/Atlas than if you play passively. Okay. So in other words, one of the things they're describing here is that passive play that we've seen with Score is going to be phased out, and you're going to have to be more actively involved in playing Scream to be able to see a return. It says, however, there will be an opportunity for more passive play styles, and I'm assuming that's in the future. It will not be as passive as Score. You will not be able to walk away for several days and expect to continuously earn. That type of passive utility will likely come with lending once that is delivered either from us or a third-party project. So for those that thought they were just going to invest in in-game assets and be fine with that for a while, until they have such a like rental models and things like that, you're going to have to be an active player. Otherwise, your assets will just sit there. Now, they did mention that they are going to have Score overlap for an extended period of time, but there will be no more progress or development with Score. That's just going to be there and available for a period of time, especially because we do know that the only way that you can engage your ships in Scream is to evolve your hangar to accommodate your ships. So there's probably going to be a period of time where your ships will sit in Score. You release some ships into Scream as you scale the size of your hangar. And so you'll probably be doing both for a while, but eventually they will phase out Score and we'll move into Scream.
So that kind of answers the question by Mantis about if we'd be able to play with extra small and small ships. If you like the hangars we don't know how many we get or what size they will be, but I think it's dependent upon the ships you have. Yeah. So if you have smaller ships, you won't have to worry about hangar space as much as the person with an entire fleet in one wallet.
Right. And we do have some clues to that here with what size hangars will be and how ships will work.
Great stuff.
All ships can do all activities in the game with varying efficiency. So a fighter has cargo space and can freight objects too. But on that same note, can you flip that? Can you go into combat with your freighter?
You can.
My rainbow will be a vehicle of death once I swap out that art gallery and that mess hall. You know.
There you go. That's right. For version 0 on the role perk front, Chipta goes on to say, I'm not saying each ship role has dedicated missions. It's more so that each ship role has unique perks relevant to Scream gameplay. More cargo equals better for moving more stuff. So I do like that fact. So especially for those that decided to focus on specific types of ships. So now those ships are going to have some unique perks based on the style of ship that it is. Because of course we've got the size of the ship, we have the class of the ship, and then we have the category of the ship.
We also have rarity, which most people don't look at.
That's right.
In future, it may be harder to build the rarer ships. So
Yes.
I know a lot of guilds aren't looking at like picking up all the common and uncommon because they would be the easiest to build when we are able to.
Yeah, and that's probably a good indicator of how far off you will see ship manufacturers building some of the styles of ships. Common, uncommon, probably see those on pretty quick. But yeah, for those that are legendary, it's probably going to be a while, and it's probably going to take not only rare components and rare materials to build those ships, but it's also probably going to be a collaboration between, like, you're going to have to find some of those materials in factions other than your own.
Yeah, if we need high risk zone materials to build a
Right.
rainbow or a toother, then all the toothers we have now, that's it. While all the other ships will be able to like have increased capacity of stock.
Yep.
Here we go. This is kind of addresses what we were talking about earlier. Chipto at one point said here that 1 X4 per hangar, that is an extra small and above. Final specification on free number of hangars and their initial sizes on day 1 is not ready to be released. Initial free hangars will likely be larger than extra small, but can't say more than that. So if it's likely larger, then maybe extra small, probably small, which means you're going to get just a couple of ships in there. But what I'm most curious about is what will the cost be? Because it's understood that we will be able to upgrade our hangar initially through paying Atlas to be able to make that available. So at one point, Chipto had said that, hey, all you need to play is you need your ship and you need a small amount of Solana for the fees, a small bit of Sol for the fees. But I would say that the actual, now knowing this, the correct thing is it depends on the size of your ship. If the only ship you have is a ship that's larger than this, then you're going to need your ship, you're going to need some Sol, and you're going to need some Atlas to be able to buy a hangar big enough to accommodate your ship if you're not working with an extra small ship or a small ship. Here's a big chunk. Variables for earning. This is significant. This is actually the one that started me on the quest of saying, all right, what other alphas is Chipto dropping in the foundation room? Because this was a question based on, like, what are the variables that dictate how you will go about earning within Scream? And so this was his reply. Variables for earning include the following: how many ships you have in Scream, your XP rank, whether you're spending LP on in-game consumables or saving for something else, how efficiently and how much you play, your play style, how others in your faction are also performing on the current payment epoch. So the epoch is the period of time for which I guess there will be a payout, where how you perform within that window. So interesting, but what they said there is how how others in your faction. They didn't even say guild here. So in other words, it sounds like how a faction collectively performs is going to include is going to have a factor. So we know right now that Mud is the largest by assets and by number of players. So does that mean that potentially the deck at the beginning is stacked against the other factions? Is it because they have the might to be able to perhaps get with more players and more resources? I'm curious to see how that plays out, because if the collective faction plays a role in the performance and how that influences how points perhaps are distributed, yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Goes on to say here that R4 market prices are also a factor, and it makes sense. Imagine this. So right now, and I don't know if these numbers are accurate. I think I heard you say at one point, Fancy, that you read somewhere that, and if this is not accurate, someone else that's listening in, correct us on this, that it's about, is it 20% of the current rewards emission that are being put back into the R4?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it was originally. I'm not sure if any of the variables change.
Right. So now we know that we have a static or fixed price for R4 that has the the infinite loop on it there, because it's provided by Star Atlas, and we pay for that in Atlas. However, as they begin to switch to a player-based economy, we're going to begin manufacturing those. And so once the market switches to what the market will bear, which they obviously have to do because that's the switch you flip to all of a sudden make it a player-based economy, will those prices go up? Will they go down? So all of a sudden, it might be a bigger factor that there might be a shortage of ammo, or because someone cornered the market on ammo, you might actually have the price of ammo go up considerably higher. I'm reading here what OCG Thor said. Didn't Wagner say earlier on the smallest faction will have a bonus as a leveling of faction, so no one faction gets too overpowered? That's good, and I think it's important, especially as in the early stages, so that you don't have a runaway faction that is like breaks away for an extended period of time, and it's difficult for other factions to catch up. So hopefully they do have a little bit of adjustments and nerfing and some levers that can be pulled to kind of make it even gameplay across the board for the different factions. Volker, it says here that what was that one? What did he say there? I want to bring that back up. I was curious. There we go. ONI has more pull-us. That's interesting. Yes, right. We're playing the long game. And of course, what's interesting about that, you say that, and it's funny that actually is the case, because it should be the case, because ONI being, with
Diplomatic.
political and, politics playing a role in kind of some of their buffs, then of course they're going to need some polis in there as well. So it's interesting that that's how it plays out.
What I find interesting about that is the idea that the people who chose ONI as a faction already kind of leaned in that direction, and so those are the people that are picking up all the polis. You're seeing that play out in real time.
Right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So we had R4 marketing price and whether or not you're making your own or you're purchasing R4 from the market. So maybe that becomes a thing. Maybe it becomes such that the market itself has such fluctuation in prices for a particular resource goes up considerably that guilds say, look, we need to devote some of our guild resources to making our own to be able to support our efforts. So that's pretty cool.
You can imagine how that's going to slow down the development or the objectives of a particular faction and its individual guilds that live within the faction. If everyone's going to have to contribute something of what they were originally planning to use it for something else, then it's going to be a little detrimental, I guess, for the timeline of things. But I guess we'll see when the time comes.
Some other factors here: how many star bases you own, how many planets in their tiers does your faction currently occupy? So it sounds like one of the big factors, and again, I think that this is beautiful in the sense that it lends towards collaborative gameplay. This is what's going to fire up the guilds to really get excited here, because it's going to be a collaborative effort, and there's going to be this push-pull for territory between the different factions. And so it sounds like at the end of an epoch, however much your faction has occupied, or if you push boundaries back, then rewards within that faction will be greater than the other factions that perhaps didn't do as well. It also goes on here to say that if you died in combat or on a kill streak, these are other factors. Yes, because if you die in combat, get your ship blown up or something, then of course you're going to have lost a bunch of resources, whether those are the 4Rs that you might be packing with you or resources that you've gathered and are in your cargo bay that go bye-bye. And also, another factor here, how many new players are coming into the game and are active? So what this tells us here is that there are a lot of factors. And what this tells me, at least, and I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on this, is that this first release of Scream is pretty ambitious. I mean, they have their hands full. When you can work this many factors into a first kind of a release of gameplay, even if they didn't get all of these, this is a lot. I mean, even if they got some of these, it's substantial. And I think that the playability and the enjoyment and the collaborative effort and experience you can have with others in your guild just goes up exponentially when you have all of this stuff built in.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Star Atlas dev team. Can you go back to that previous one right quick? I mean, because when you look at such a large block of factors, not only does that make the game more in depth, right? You can go deeper, as far as immersion goes. But also what I'm seeing is a whole lot of levers that could be pulled when it comes to keeping the in-game economy healthy.
Right.
And this is something that we've seen a lot of the previous attempts at creating a blockchain-based gaming ecosystem. A lot of the weaknesses they have is just not having enough levers they can pull when they have hyperinflation come into the game or deflation, as the case may be.
Exactly. And that's actually the thing I've always been most excited about. So the thing I like about gameplay and a lot of the strategy and crafting games and things that I've played is that I like when you have a whole bunch of different aspects that start to form a real economy. And I'm super excited to see this switch to a player-based economy for the resources that we need within the game. That's super exciting to me.
Not only that, but one thing I've noticed about Star Atlas, and there's only a couple of games that I've seen really focusing on that in the space, is the idea of keeping values from going too high. That deflationary aspect, keeping, everybody wants their assets to go up in value and have the big moon day. But the fact of the matter is, as far as a sustainable economy, you want sustainable growth. You don't want that big boom.
And projects are learning from each other. One of the things the Illuvium team is doing in that regard is that the land sale they just did, your land is going to be producing fuel. But they also have levers they can pull so that fuel costs don't become runaway and they also don't go too low. So I like that they're thinking ahead to say, look, we want to build real economies, not just economies that emulate the real world, but actually better versions of them because it's on chain. And I think that the thing that excites me about that outside of gameplay is that I genuinely believe that we are going to learn things within the metaverse through projects like this that will be applied in the real world.
Absolutely. Politically and economically, I think.
Indeed.
Yeah, very good point. I agree.
Forbes says he thinks it's going to be much more of a game than people expect. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? Peer-to-peer refueling, repairing are a stretch goal for a first version at the moment. Can't definitively state whether it will be in version 0 or in subsequent upgrades. At a minimum, assume if you own those specific support class ships, you will enjoy a perk to support your own fleets. So again, like you were talking about, Lumina, it's like, you like that idea. You've played support roles in the past, and this is it's a great looking ship. And by the way, when we first saw that ship, the ship looks small, but it's a big ship. It is. It's a big ship. And so it's pretty cool that you can now, that can be a role. A person can not only can you play that role, I can imagine that over time you can become skilled at it because there will be nuances to how you operate and the things that you think about when supporting your guild in a ship like that.
Right. And then they also mentioned it in multiple town halls because of these roles. And when you progress your character, there will be the talent trees, and you're going to give points to these talent trees, and so you can work your way towards that goal or whatever role that you're going to play. And all the stuff that I've been reading right now, it's really great because I remember last summer we were just doing a lot of theory crafting about possibility of these type of things. For example, when I see that you can enjoy a unique perk to support your own fleet, even though you won't be able to repair your ships or refuel other ships, because you are in a support role. Maybe when you repair a ship or even your own ship, maybe other ships will be able to do the same thing too. They'll be able to repair them, but they will be in a, let's say, maybe like a 12-hour cooldown. Whereas on a repair ship, you might just repair it in an hour, and then you can just continue to do your other missions and whatnot. So that might be just a bonus right there. Right. Even though, it's still a theory crafting, but I can assume they would include something like along those lines to, right. Because I can tell by these alpha leaks where they are really focusing on the roles, and they are trying to push the game, the players to actually play the game with their specific roles and get used to those type of play style, which is I think this is great.
And another consideration, I can see a situation where as you become more skilled with a particular ship like this, and it might be a situation where you're in a support role for combat that's happening and a ship needs to be refueled. Well, the more skilled a person is, becomes a veteran with a ship like this, perhaps the time it takes to refuel another vessel is greatly reduced.
Absolutely. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's going to be a feature personally. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not an alpha, but I think they will put in something like that.
Right.
For sure.
Because like in World of Warcraft, I remember the Goblin says, "Time is money, friend." So it is.
Life lessons.
Time is money.
I think there's definitely room for a mechanic like that when you start thinking about crew development and crew leveling up and their expertise. As far as, you know, I'm sure you have an engineer that's, you know, in charge of your refueling or whatever.
Right.
What do you guys think about the Pierce R6? I know there's a lot of love for the Big Brother version of this, but this could be a potentially cool option for smaller operations.
What do we, that's a ship I don't know a whole lot about. So what is the difference in price and size and known like loadout? Do we know?
So
it's
the
a small.
PSR8 is a large, so it's already up, down 2 tiers, pardon.
Okay, so
3
this
crew
is
members.
28 meters in length. It's a small ship listed as repair uncommon, and it's got a loadout. It's got a pilot, co-pilot, and a repair engineer, and then it's got a good number of components. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah. 2 small hard points on a little repair thing. That could be all you need. But if it's not in a threatening position and it's just a small job, then it could be a waste to send a big $10,000 ship to wherever it needs to be.
So it sounds like this isn't going to refuel unless it maybe has a module, but it's mostly designed for repair, probably.
Let's check that. Repair. Yeah, it's not refuel. Okay.
And what's it priced at?
$1,060.
$60.
Oh yeah, so that's considerably. I mean, isn't the R8 like
11 or
11?
10,080, something like that. Yeah.
But it's on sale now.
I was just about to say that, not financial advice, but current prices are far lower than that original 10,000. I was looking at it earlier; it was around $3,000.
Bargain basement Sunday.
Yeah, there's definitely a summer sale. For sure.
Oh yeah,
70% discount on the R8.
Yeah, get them while they're hot. Let's see here. Ships function like when you're on a plane. Okay, so now we're switching over to Bunthius. And so he's just trying to give you an idea here of what the experience will be like if you're on your own starship. And he's saying that they function kind of like a plane where you get to see how close you are to a destination, speed, and all of that. Then it can also work as an intercom and telescreen style system where the captain can always speak over all screens at once, kind of thing. So while obviously that's a future, that's not a part of Scream, but I've always wondered like what that will actually look like. And I don't know, do you know this, Lumina or anyone else? Like, is there functionality like that in Star Citizen, like multi-side yet? Because the thing that comes to mind for me is I played in VR Star Trek Bridge Crew, and it's a fun game in the sense that it's a collaborative effort. You know, you got the person in the captain's chair, you got the person that's in engineering, you got the different roles, and you're having to work with them to make certain things happen. Does Star Citizen have anything like that, or is the only videos I've seen, it's one person jumping into a ship?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's been a few years that I didn't play the game, but last time I played it, did it. And if you can go back to what Bontes wrote,
yeah, no problem.
Then it can also work with an intercom telescreen style system where the captain can always speak over all screens at once, kind of thing.
What that says to me is that, let's say that not only the captain of the ship, not only screens on the ship, let's say you've got different people, like if you've got a big enough ship, there's going to be people that are going to be in different parts of the ship. And so it's a way for the captain to communicate with everyone. But I can also see it be something that a fleet commander does to communicate collectively to all ships within a fleet if you're on a mission of sorts.
Right, and then I think this might be related to that, because I remember Chip said the same thing too, because when we get to play the Unreal Engine 5 game, we're gonna get to have a top-down view and a third-person or first-person view too. I guess with the top-down view, you'll be able to control all these ships. Whereas you get into first-person, then when you're in the ship, you can look at different screens. But when you are controlling multiple ships, for example, let's say ships function like when you're on a plane, you get to see how close to your destination. But it can also work as an intercom telescreen style, where you can always speak to other screens that I would assume that would be either different parts of the ship or maybe parts of the fleet.
I like your question there, Lumina, because it just goes to show how serious Star Atlas is into reaching out into current reality as a basis for what they put in the game. When I was in the Navy, the captain of the ship used to come over the intercom regularly to let us know what was going on, and fleet commanders as well could do that. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Me and Ray are chuckling at this comment. I'm gonna rickroll the entirety of Rome.
Yeah,
the first opportunity that I get where there's going to be one screen across the entire fleet, I am absolutely going to
shit!
Right.
We got to keep some people off the comms.
Right.
You're on janitor duties if you don't listen.
But so this tells us a little bit more about a couple things that are alpha here. There's 2 ships planned for the full showroom release in October. So this suggests that the full release of the showroom is slated for October, but it also hints towards the fact that there may be some other releases prior to it. So we don't know what I don't know if it's been mentioned what those 2 ships are, but I think we can count on the O-Pod being one of them.
If I was to guess, it would be this.
Yeah,
the X4.
I think this one and the Opod, those 2 will be the first 2.
This was from a while ago, and it looks ready in this.
Nice. I mean, are we gonna be able to test? Are we gonna be able to test drive these things?
I assume so.
Yeah,
that's cool. You scratch
it,
and
you buy it. And I think they already finished the texture of X4 already, and Visa's Opod was already there in the Christmas video, so.
Yeah,
it's very apparent that these 2 are the people.
Good stuff. Okay, what do we got here? There's currently 27 artists just on ships across 3 teams: ATM, TA, Spearsoft, and Vert Paint. There are 14 ships in full production. That team is growing, but respectfully, these ships are of higher than cinematic quality down to individual bolts. In the movies, you can't get close enough to the surface as you can in Unreal Engine 5, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And there's so much application for Unreal Engine 5 and so many things that we're even seeing that spill over now into movie production. But he raises a good point here. It's like, as we saw that flyover of the Calico Guardian, the detail is just amazing. And now it's literally down to the bolts and a lot of these ships have removable components and modules, and the detail is there. So it's pretty impressive. And they do have a lot of teams that are working on this. You got something, Ray?
Muted.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, false alarm.
It says if you're looking into other games doing similar ship fidelity with interiors and all that, 4+ months is very normal, and we're pushing beyond that fidelity, currently pushing the boundaries more than any other game in the industry. We aren't bottlenecked here. 14 simultaneous ships do require consistent standards, though, and are getting all the builders hitting that same quality bar at the start of pre-production. Takes some effort, but as the asset libraries grow, the production rate will scale dramatically. So when you think about it, I mean, it is pretty amazing to think about how many people and how many teams are focusing on the quality of these ships. And so that really has me looking forward to see what the showroom has to offer, even with just 2 ships. I really, it's going to give us a pretty strong sense of the spirit of what is being created. He goes on to say that some ships have up to 5 people working on them. More on the reason for that will be revealed soon, but generally 2 per ship at minimum. 1 builder, 1 lead, and 1 art director for a ship. 2 of those 14 ships are done and pushed off to sound, animation, visual effects, and quality assurance. There's a team dedicated to ships and nothing else. There are some overlap where the concepts artists who are working on future ships have the skill set to build 3D to assist full production. So yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it's interesting. Whenever you see a project like this kick off, there's this long waiting period. And of course, we all get antsy and we want more. But it is clear just by the bits and pieces that we see over time that there is a lot going on under the hood at Star Atlas. Yeah, and someone was asked, did you say the full release October? He says, I did say full release of Showroom in October, as there are a number of items that we want to be a part of the experience. But as you said, we want to get the client in players' hands as soon as it's feasible. It's going to be a fun summer, in his opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, I
That is
just
exciting.
think. Yeah, I think it's just the most refreshing thing to have a team being this detailed, with everything that's going on different parts of the team. It's great to see.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, that's all. I mean, there was a bit more, some other stuff about the DAO that was shared from Wagner, but for the most part, I mean, that's plenty of alpha drop from things within Star Atlas, and it's exciting. And it's kind of for all of us that are trying, especially those of us, we're leading guilds, we're part of guilds, and we're trying to wrap our minds around our strategy and our approach. And so all of these tidbits give us just a little bit more to help us kind of frame how we envision our approach and how we're going to collectively collaborate and approach the game.
Yeah, that's a really great summary. It's hard to keep track, especially in a downturn, but yeah, there's always enthusiasm at Rome. So there was another ship released this week. I don't think we looked at it yet. It's called the Ogrika Tersic. It's a medium fighter, and it's quite beautiful, really. Yeah, the Ogrikas are growing on me. It looks massive from this vantage. You can see all these tiny people around here, but I assume like the majority of this is just like decorative and flowy, so it's not.
Yeah,
Doubt it will be that useful.
I wonder that too, because we see, like I mentioned this to you guys before the show, that it looks like there's just it's beautiful in design, but does that represent a bunch of whole vulnerability?
Yeah, it looks like it's built to be aerodynamic, but it's a spaceship, which kind of confuses me.
Right. In the vacuum of space without the resistance of an atmosphere.
Yeah. That's why like the Rainbow Arc is completely feasible, just a giant block.
Right.
But
The
yeah,
inside
know,
is spectacular. Look at that. It's amazing.
It might have some transformation capabilities. You never know.
See all those Dr. Evil chairs?
There you go. Just like that.
these look like humans.
All right. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I didn't realize there were people sitting in there. It was 2. It was pilot and co-pilot, perhaps?
Another one as well here.
Oh, there's another one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is a really nice ship, and the colors look very expensive.
Yeah.
So medium fighter, 4,400 available, 2,475 USDC. Metal, medium, and fuel. So I would still pick the Calico ATS. The fact it doesn't have an interior just because the gun is so big makes me really impressed.
If you go back there real quick, a ship that I don't have that I think is an incredibly sexy ship that at some point I may figure out is that Opal Bit Boat. That thing is a beautiful looking ship.
Yeah, transports are in a weird place because all ships can transport. So unless this can carry like a substantial amount more, and
that
you
last
need
that last
extra
image you
transport
showed
room.
there
Mhm.
with the transport, it looks a little cramped though. If that's the actual body sizes in there, get in, people. We're going.
Let's see. Let's look for the inside. It's a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wow, that's interior. Huh? Okay, pretty cool.
Yeah, carry them in style. That's the idea. But
Like the Cantina bar right there.
yeah, transport is a weird one because people can be carried by any ship. So
Right.
unless you're guild or you have a lot of people that need to be carried, that like over limits your capacity to carry, it's hard to justify transport. Like a lobby is cool, but Opal Bitbo, that's a big chunk of money.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, like, what do you guys think are some of the perks of a ship that is designated as transport? Is it speed and efficiency of fuel, or like,
Maybe it lacks weapons, but increased speed, maybe stealth, or I'm not sure.
And I think accommodations and being, because I remember all of these, at least a lot of the transport ships, they have this, because they say the same thing with the info, luxury accommodations and whatnot. If I mean, yes, this is an MMORPG game, but there might be some survival aspects of it where, depending on the style of your travel, you might get an extra bonus, or maybe a minus bonus if you are traveling with a freighter, because you didn't get a nice sleep or what. I'm just brainstorming right now, but these are the things that are being used and done in few other MMORPGs out there. Because I remember with the Final Fantasy 14. I think there was a different types of accommodation style where you can, if you log off at your house, it's different than you log off at the main city and whatnot. So, I mean, they can easily put these type of little sort of like bonus, positive or negative bonuses depending on the accommodations, because they emphasize on that a lot with the shipping ship information somehow, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but this might be one of the reasons why they're kind of pushing it.
Yeah,
or maybe
we're looking
like
at the.
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say maybe it might be related to crew loyalty too at some point, because better accommodations might require different type of crews that are that were graduated from a different, because then we know for a fact that there will be universities, and these crews will be graduated from these universities. We will train them. So a butler might be butler is different than a I don't know, a janitor or whatever. So I'm just trying to choreograph here. Maybe this is so crazy, but because they make that emphasis a lot with the luxury accommodations.
Yeah, don't underestimate the power of a bunch of janitors. They're going to be needed on cleanups. So we're gonna have those services. I could imagine, like, either I typed in the chat. It could be search and rescue. So particular missions. A lot of great other ideas for why transportation is going to be either a late game or even something that takes us by surprise as far as like what we're going to need transport for.
Not to mention the janitor might be an operative from another faction. Nobody's paying attention to him.
There you go.
But he's collecting intel.
And he's the only one who wants to do the job.
That's right. So speaking of alpha, there was a bit of alpha that I did because it answered a question that I had a while back, because we know that in the medium risk zone, you have the ability to have your ship destroyed. And the outcome of that is that your ship respawns back at Starbase, but you lose the R4 and you lose whatever cargo that you had. So my question was, what happens to that cargo? And I believe it was Swagner that said that or confirmed that, those are the spoils of war, and the offending party is able to retrieve that. So that's interesting.
Yep. So when they say spoils of war, are they going to be scattered around?
It would be
galaxy
sitting there
type
at
of-
the site of the kill of where your ship was destroyed, kind of like our trailer at the end that we Atlas Minor,
Right.
where you just see the
Right,
debris.
right, yeah. So in that case,
Foreshadowing.
scavenger ships are gonna be popular too, just for just to get some pay from these clashes between the ships.
Right.
Yeah.
We got anything else newsworthy? We're about to the top of 2 hours. I don't know how long we want to run this, or if we want to break into some Illuvium stuff next week, or if we've got other news with you and Ray and Axie. What do we want to do from here?
I do have a couple
I just
quick
have-
things that I could show off.
Okay.
So this is something we missed like a couple weeks ago. It's just a GIF of a iteration for ship windows, so you can look outside and see what's happening. And it's things like this that I find very cool. It's just the texture. It's not actually part of a ship. They're just designing the mechanisms. This might be cool to just look out the window and see firefights or.
So we're seeing a heads-up display layered onto a clear view beyond that of outside of a ship.
Yes.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. And
I like it.
So there was this other thing that we wanted to cover. It's basically a proposal for a neutral zone a safe zone inside of the high-risk zone for a bar. And they're asking for 500 signatures to try and get it to people's attention.
Yeah, I already replied to this a Twitter post, so not gonna happen.
It definitely is not going to happen. From so many different perspectives. One, it obviously gives an exclusive advantage to
Right.
Bounty Bar as having this space. And two, this is something that would be a DAO proposal, and then something that later the DAO would vote on. And of course, if the DAO did vote on this, no, it would not pass. The only way this would pass is if it was a DAO-owned bar.
Yeah, that's the point right there, Jesse, because my immediate thought is, okay, you want my vote, what's my percentage, and what are my ownership rights here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely a DAO thing.
I could imagine perhaps a really successful real life bar wanting to pay Star Atlas to appear in the metaverse for marketing. But go on.
Go ahead, Fancy. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Yeah, that was pretty much my thought. It was something that should contribute to the game. Yeah.
I thought about that earlier as we were talking about these, like you mentioned, the guild, that World of Warcraft guild that's now looking to do some other stuff. At what point, I don't imagine it's too far off, that we're going to see brands start to sponsor gaming guilds in the metaverse space. Now, hopefully, we're going to get to a place where you look like, NASCAR, where you're just decked out in all this gear with, you got brand labels all over you. But I can definitely see that being a way, because I guarantee you, even from my background in digital marketing and working with brands on their marketing effort throughout the internet, there's going to become a time where brands want to know how they participate in the metaverse. They're not going to want to go the route of creating their own NFTs and creating their own virtual 3D worlds, but they do want to get their brand out there. And one of the ways they want to do that is by sponsoring those that are actively doing stuff in the space.
Yeah, and to that point, there's going to be a huge demand for security for these areas that are going to be in the high risk zone. If these Nikes and these other companies from the traditional world come in to sponsor and to set up shop where people can just do commerce, so that's something interesting. So for any of these things with votes taking place, they're definitely not just going to just fly by. But it's funny how the area between two C11s is pretty safe, without a doubt.
They are only asking for a tiny asteroid.
Another good place for a bar would be on a tree arrow. I happen to know
that's right.
A certain guild and a certain guy that might be able to facilitate that.
Indeed.
Come into my office. See, and that brings up the point that Wagner mentioned a long while ago about VCs coming into Star Atlas's ecosystem and wanting to invest and have money distributed in whatever way they see fit. And Star Atlas or Wagner and friends would be the ones to determine where that money goes, depending on how what guilds are in existence, their contributions, how they're set up. So I see this Copa situation being that of a tier list of guilds that would be recommended to VCs in this event. I see it all coming together in that way, where depending on a guild and how it's gonna maybe protect or use certain assets, and how it's described in Copa is gonna then appeal to a particular VC coming in and looking at a spreadsheet or a website of whatever we are as guilds.
And they're setting the stage. And they're setting the stage for things like that to be seamless within the game. For example, the things that they're having to create that didn't yet exist is wallet integration into Unreal Engine. So that might be a situation where you're in the showroom and a sponsor of some sort has something that they're offering, and you're able to engage that directly without actually having to leave the showroom or the experience as a whole, because if it's a wallet-based activity, it can happen right there. And so they're actually making that available to other people to use. So that's another thing that really stands out as to how Star Atlas is looking to create something that lays the framework, the pipeline, the foundation, the roads, the infrastructure, so that others can then also build upon it. And as they've already mentioned many times, that eventually, and even in some ways now, Star Atlas the development team is a contractor for the DAO.
Pretty much.
The only way I see like a safe zone in the high risk zone, apart from like a brand deal like we talked about, is Newt's Newtopia.
Right.
You could pull it off from the inside, I reckon.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, Newt.
And it brings up a good good luck, Newt. But that brings up a good conversation, I guess, to be had, where it's just like there's no favoritism when it comes to the team and or players in guilds, whether they work for the team or they're just community members. So what perks would a Newt or Newtopia get? It would all be on his shoulders and whatever negotiations and deals that he makes as an individual playing the game. So security is just going to be that higher of a demand for depending on how big his vision is. If it's going to be a huge space that has multiple things going on, it's a whole university of sorts. I don't know. It's maybe a matter of time before there's some type of something going down. I don't know.
And shout out to the Bounty Bar, by the way. I've been in a couple of their Twitter spaces, and I like the community. But in my mind, the whole idea of a bounty bar reminds me kind of like a Job at a Hut kind of situation, where you can get killed there, you can get destroyed there. It's a dangerous place, but that's where things happen, and the value of what's happening there is enough to where people don't necessarily want to give themselves a bad reputation in that space too easily.
Like that first bar that the Mandalorian walked into?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, boring. No, it'd be boring to walk into a safe bar in high risk.
All right.
So, yeah, we are also looking forward to the Copa coming up. Submissions are closing tomorrow, I believe. Not sure exactly what time, but all the guilds are submitting. How are you finding it, Lumina?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny that you just mentioned right now. Right before, at least 2 hours before the stream started, I submitted our Copa submission. So we'll see. I mean, we include a lot of things, and I think this is like, I mean, yes, there'll be prizes and whatnot, and this is sort of a, almost like bragging rights type thing. But the way I see it, I think it's more than that. I think it's a celebration of Star Atlas guilds and the community itself, and the only thing that I'm kind of questioning is the time frame, because I know for a fact that at the Twitter space, well, the Atlas group, they said that once they get the submissions, the panel will pick the finalists, and there'll be a few finalists, and those people, guilds who are in the finals, they will get to present. I don't know how long it's going to be, but they said the entire event is going to be 10 hours. I don't think that's a good approach, to be honest. Like, I don't think people will, stay around for 10 hours straight.
Right.
But I mean, they have to also figure out a way that, people are living in different time zones and whatnot. So I don't know how they're going to handle it, but I think this is a good sort of a start towards collaboration and sort of almost like forcing people to being in guilds and being in that kind of environment, and then realize, and then even the investors or the crypto people, they have to realize that, hey, we have to be part of something so that we can enjoy this game and play this game and whatnot. So just for that alone, I think it's important, and there's nothing wrong with bragging rights. I think it's great. And we'll see. I mean, it's going to be first of a kind, and they said they're going to have multiple of these events in the upcoming months. So this is just the first one. But I think whoever is going to be the top or second or the third place, being in the first one and being able to be showcased as the first Copa winners or whatever, I think that's going to be a good bragging rights. So coexist definitely. We spent a lot of time and spend a lot of effort to it, and we'll see. I mean, but like I said, at the end of the day, I just feel like this is a great opportunity for the guilds to get together, have some fun, and celebrate it. And also, this just like that's why I say all the time. Yes, I know a lot of people are watching us, and some of our guild members, also maybe your guild members, are sad that the coin prices are going down. The market is really bad. Like personally, I'm a big fan of Polis. For me, I don't even hold any Atlas. I mean, I only get Atlas from the staking, and no financial advice. But I was a huge believer. I still is a huge believer of Polis. But when there's a bear market, these type of events are the events that get kind of rise up the community and um, uh, try to see things from the positive side, at least. So, and then sometimes it's kind of good to stay away from the graphics and from the graphs and whatnot. It really helps you a lot to to see the bigger picture, sort of go for that. Like one of the viewers said, we are here for the long game. So and this is a start of that long game.
So how are you approaching Copa? Are you being like full on open kimono? Are you being like, hey, here's what we're doing? Or are you guys keeping stuff close to the chest? Well, how are you approaching Copa?
Well, when we submitted our document, I think we pretty much summarized what we did so far in a way, and we kind of gave few glimpses of what's coming up at Coexist. But I think because when I saw the event, I think the judges and their intention is they would like to see, what makes Rome great. Like, why should I join Rome, or why should I join Coexist? So I don't know how much of a weight those the contents that we or you guys created are gonna have a role in this, because I think they're really looking forward to, yes, you're Coexist or Rome, but why should I join you?
Right.
So what you have accomplished so far, like even this Metaverse Nomads, I think this is great. I think this is a really big point for a big plus for you guys, because you've been doing this every Sunday constantly, and then I think this is definitely can be used for this type of an event. But I personally say that we didn't really go with with our entire sort of gems that we have in our guild, but because we know for a fact that there'll be other copas too, but I also think that it's really important to if we can win, if we great, because this is the first copa, so
Right.
so I kind of like the little challenge there too.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't hurt to have a little competition.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I was going to say I re-listened to the Star Atlas Brew. I think it was numbered 15, but it was on June 1st, published on the Star Atlas TV. Shout out to Star Atlas TV YouTube channel. But there's specific things that I guess was asked for every, I guess, submission to have. And you could make it as generic as you want or as detailed as you want. It's pretty much up to any guild and what they agree on. But I'm thinking that whatever we submit is not going to be public to everyone. And maybe I'm wrong in not understanding it correctly. But upon a presentation, when you are one of those to present, I guess then you can disclose what you wish to disclose. But I was thinking to give, I guess, as much information, I guess, as you feel comfortable with, so the team of Star Atlas has a better understanding of the guild that you're a part of, or in charge of, and then when you do present, it's not them presenting your whole guild and the whole PDF file going through it. It would be yourself or a person that is agreed upon from the guild to present, and then you present specific info. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how it shapes out for sure. And as you mentioned, if they're trying to do that on one sitting, man, it's after the 3 hour mark, you're going to have eyes glazed over. So hopefully there's going to be another way to share that information. I think for Rome, I think we're kind of approaching a little bit different. I don't think we don't like, hey, we're ONI, so we're about stealth and politics, and so we don't necessarily want to say, here's our census of all of our ships, and hey, everyone, here's why you want to come join us. But what we are doing, and by the way, shout out to Winston, who's part of our guild squad leadership structure. You rock, dude. He's been instrumental in what we've been doing is creating our origin story, which is pretty badass. And that's kind of the way we want to approach it. I mean, the way that we're seeing this, we're not in it to win the prizes. We're not in it to impress Star Atlas. We're not in it even for what the other guilds may think of what Rome is. We're in it to create pride for our existing Romans and for those that see that, hey, what you guys are doing is cool and we want to be a part of that. Then that's an invitation for people to consider being a part of Rome. So that's the way that we're approaching it.
Absolutely, and I gotta say, we had the same type of approach too, and I'm glad that you mentioned lore, and I've been, like I said, I've been following you guys for some time now, and I don't know if you've had a chance to read our story, because we coexist. We created almost 5 pages of coexist story that is integrated to Star Atlas. We even started from where it began, even though like it's not even real, but it has some real world aspects to it. So when you have a chance, I
definitely want to see that, because that's essentially what we've done. Is we've kind of weaved our story into like the early beginnings and how it's all come together. So I definitely want to check out what you guys have created.
Yeah, that sounds similar to ours, Lumina. Is that open to the public already? Do you have a link for that?
It's on StarAtlasGuilds.com. If you remember back in the day we uploaded there. I'm actually gonna send you the link. We have the Turkish version and the English version too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But when you read it, you're gonna have a lot of. I mean, hopefully you'll have fun. But can I post it here? Probably I won't be able to. I'm just gonna send it to you, Fancy, so you can put it up there, because I didn't log into the Steam thing. Because our story actually starts from how Fotoli came to the actual Earth, and the whole thing happened in Asia, in the vast lands of, I don't know, like Mongolia or something, and that's where the story starts. So
we got something similar with the early days of the Roman Empire,
Yeah.
And
there you go. Yeah, of course.
That's what I was saying, but it's interesting because the one that our guildmate Winston has written up is pretty awesome, and it goes back in depth like that. It's awesome.
But you should include Constantinople then.
Nice.
That's be part of Rome, right?
Yeah, it is.
That could be part 2.
Yeah, our guy was very busy going around.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting how out of the 3 for the COPA requirements of growth, product development, and ecosystem integration, lore is number 1. So I don't know if it means anything or if I'm just reading too much into it, but lore seems to be a big part of what the team is trying to maybe get guilds to consider. So everyone has a unique story, and they're just not another corporation, quote unquote, in the space of NFT gaming for any particular game. and its ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
What else we got?
So yeah, you could go into Illuvium if you want. There's a lot of stuff happened there recently.
There is a lot, and I think there's so much that we may hit some fatigue here, and also want to give people something to look forward to. So I think that, first of all, I'll just say this: Illuvium land sale went off well. I think that, like, right now, man, Illuvium's the show pony for how to deliver an NFT mint. It had so many variables to it. The land sale went on for 3 days with the Dutch auction, ended today. I was able to grab 4 plots of land. I'll show you that land next week when we dive deeper into all of it, because there's actually a nice chunk to everything that happened there. So, and also I want to get some of the stats and numbers post the land sale. I will say that in 4 weeks' time is when they expect to launch Illuvium 0, which is where land will be able to be put into use. You don't have to have land to be able to play, because there is a tier 0 that anyone can play. So lots to cover, but let's do that next week. That gives you something to look forward to and be here at the same time.
Same for me with what I have for the different games that I mentioned regularly. So look forward to it.
Awesome. So is that it, guys? Were we done for the? You guys got any final thoughts here?
Yeah, that seems like it. Looking forward to Copa and what the team has for us now that they're back from their break. A lot to say in the foundation room, but the announcement channel was quiet. But yeah, I'm sure they have some stuff lined up.
Yeah, and it was also good to have Lumina, to have you here, man. A fellow ONI guild, and lots of your guild were on here sharing comments. Good to connect with you guys, and looking forward to some collaborative stuff, perhaps within the ONI faction, especially now that it seems that collective faction effort is a thing, even out the gate stream. So
absolutely. yeah, absolutely. And that also makes me question the guilds who are, we're shooting to have multiple guilds in multiple factions. I don't know how they're gonna do it right now. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely, we would love to be, do any kind of collaboration with Rome, and just so you know, and I'm kind of repeating myself over and over again, but you guys, you don't know, but you really have a special place in our hearts. So, really cool. Like, all of you are really cool, and then Rome and the way how you approach this game, and I would like to, hopefully, if I can read your story too. And then it really gives me a lot of hope that there are people out there who sees this game, these platforms, the way we see it, and Rome is one of those, one of the biggest examples out there. So definitely kudos to you guys.
And to you as well, man. You're an outstanding ambassador for Star Atlas as a whole as well. So it's good to have you on the show, and we look forward to having you back as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks for sticking it out with us this whole time, Lumina. And you were one of the first members of the guild as well, and then you branched off to build and we're here we are today. So thank you so much for everything you've done in the space for everyone. And shout out to Rome and all of its members. We couldn't do it without you, right? We would be just a echo chamber of a former, what Rome was. but yeah, thank you for everyone. Definitely subscribe to the channel, right? Do all those things that social media people are supposed to do. Smash things and subscribe.
Smash
and,
stuff,
if you're interested in if you're interested in any of these guilds, there's a website that Lumina mentioned earlier, I guess. What was it called? It was staratlasguilds.com.
Well, I think that's the project that Atlasia family did, but our
where do they
website
find your
is
guild?
ours is
where do we find all your information?
I'm pretty sure it'd be on this
fancy
Star Atlas page.
It's over there. We have multiple sites, but our original website, which is the old website, is currently under construction. But that has our old material and content from other games that we played. But we're planning to switch to that at some point.
Cool.
But both of the sites are good that I sent you, Fancy.
Nice.
Awesome. We'll have that in the description, as well as, I guess, the Discord link if you'd want, and we can have people directed there if they're interested. And likewise, you can join Rome at gorome.io if you're interested in Rome and everything we have to offer. If you just want to hang out, continue conversation on our Discord, we have multiple channels, great people across different games, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Any
Absolutely.
final thoughts, Fancy?
Not really. Thanks, everyone.
All right. And Bonafide.
Yeah, I think you guys just about cover it. But once again, Lumina, thanks for all the kind words. And it was exciting to hear about how you guys are building in the Web3 space and how all that came together. And hopefully we see a lot more of that. Shout out to the rest of the ONI faction out there. We're going to get a real opportunity to start building together here when Scream comes out. So hopefully we all find ways to collaborate in this new Web3 space together. This is going to be a monumental first time thing, right?
Yes.
We haven't had a chance for guilds to come together in Web3 before like this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Pioneers,
Absolutely.
no doubt.
Let's get an Oni on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oni.
Oni.
We're gonna own you all. All right,
We are here every week at this time. At least we have been for the last year, and we'll continue to do this. We talk about all things Metaverse news, as well as our favorite projects. Shout out and big props to Coexist and all of you that showed up here to watch this stream, as well as to all of our Romans, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are here week after week with us, and we appreciate you and your comments and your feedback. Look forward to doing this with you again next week. Until then, stay safe out there. Hope you're not carrying too many big red bags, but we're all going to make it. And we'll see you next week.
Atlas Minor, you were born to push the block in search of ore. And now it's time that you are gone. So farewell, Atlas Minor. And farewell, Mud and Oni too. Who's the sector same to you? The pirate bastards ran him through. So farewell, Atlas Minor. They promised you a diamond mine, but I'll be damned, it's hard to find. I hope there's justice for their crimes. And farewell, Atlas Minor. Farewell, friend, don't take it hard. Getting killed ain't all that bad. They'll treat you well in the repair yard. So farewell, Atlas Minor.